So it's finally here. This is something I saw discounted heavily and had to snap up. This isn't a paid or sponsored unboxing and review. I need to let you know. This is just something I'm doing for anyone else late to the Behringer Model D sort of party as far as it goes with a Moog clone, which already has impressed me with quite how hefty this package is. This isn't like the Behringer I grew up with in the late 90s, early thousands of rather thin plastic cased items that were quite cheap by name and cheap by nature. They really seem to be making waves for themselves, or at the very least, kicking as many goals as they are letting some through to the net. This wasn't for my usual setup, the sort of chill out synthy electronica with a hint of Italo that you're probably used to on this channel. It's actually for another project you'll hear about coming in a few months, where I needed more of a vintage 70s synth lead for my live rig. Obviously VSTs and whatnot have covered the recording. In fact, big shout out to Arturia Piano Collection 5 for doing the heavy share of lifting whilst we were tracking. But like I said, looking at building a live rig, and something like this for this price is ridiculous. I think I paid $369 AUD, Australian dollars, online through Port Macquarie Guitars, having an online special. And yeah, for what hopes to replicate, what would cost several thousands of dollars here in Australia, I couldn't be more excited. But I guess we'll get to the unboxing. As you can see, it's quite a large package that's come through. Right. The old Leatherman. Let's have a look. What's inside? Oh, plastic, fantastic. Warning. This, well, there's a sticker that I don't think I'm going to be putting on anything, but hey, maybe if this impresses me. Quick start guide. There's the money. What's this here? Okay, good. Power supply. So I won't be charging around the house looking for a USB cable. That's good. Keep that there. Cables. So the is it TRS they're called? For the patch bay features up top. Well, kind of pseudo modular or semi-modular. And a ribbon cable. I imagine that's if you wanted to make it or install it on your modular setup. Again, sorry if this is all old news. I am, 3 years late to the party. But I'm also trying to branch out into doing some reviews. So if this is something you'd like me to do for your product, please let me know. It's very well packed, and I've got to say, the bulk of the heaviness is still here in the product. And there we are. That is a nice feeling piece of kit. It feels a lot more solid. It feels a lot more structurally sound. You know what? Let's just get rid of this thing. Hey? Yeah, you can join me. There we go. There's Chuck. It feels a lot more structurally solid than I thought. These are smaller. So are these knobs. But then again, I have giant sausage fingers. So everything looks small to me. There is some nice torque there, some nice friction here. Went with the clicks. Yep, resistant. These aren't just skating over the pots, which is nice to see. Switches, yeah, look, they feel pretty cheap, but you know, they'll see what's there. There's a bit of give also, a bit spongy when you push on them. Again, for big sausage-fingered men like me, you're gonna have to be a little bit delicate. But I imagine it'd be the same if I owned the real McCoy here. Yeah. Is this actual wood for the cheeks? I'm not sure. If it's not wood, it's at least a resin or something to simulate wood. Metal outer. We've got switches on the back. I'll have to see what the right dip setup is for me. Okay, low and high out, that's really good. Rubber feet. Okay, well, why don't we hook it all up and see how we go. All right, so here we see it all set up. I had to do some jiggery pokery to get it like this because I found out that the mini brute over here, excuse the very cheap tripod, didn't do MIDI through, it just did MIDI out, which made the whole workflow of running out from the key step to the 106, to the JX03, to the mini brute, to the Model D, moot. So basically we kept this running on channel 4 from the key step, but I just swapped their order on the MIDI cue. But it looks ever so cute where it is. Had also a small heart attack because I turned it on, didn't realize this switch was on, which sounds delightful. It's tuning. I worked out A440 it says on it, so should have known that. Unfortunately, that also highlighted when I was getting it to work some possible tuning issues with the first oscillator, the oscillator number 1 on it. So I'll show you that. So over here you've got your tuning dial, that's sort of dialed in at 0. You've got oscillator 2 and 3. These have just been fiddled with a tiny bit, so they're out of tune with one another. Sounds delightful, doesn't it? Ravelicious. Yeah. So if we play with that tuning a bit, move that back to 0, that back to 0. Still not there though, is it? Out of tune, isn't it? So if I switch off oscillator 2 and oscillator 3 and have just that, oh, there's a bit of noise there. Let's turn down that white noise. That's A. If you want to be a stickler, that's probably already there. It's a little out. Quite out. If we go to oscillator 2, holds tuning somewhat better. Oscillator 3, I think that's the better of the. Also doesn't help the type of wave it is. But that being said, I looked into it in the manual. There is instructions for fixing the tuning. It's a rather complex affair. Involves opening it up. Involves sysx instructions. I think some kind of voltmeter of some sort, and all kinds of jiggery pokery, which I don't really want to do. So for my live purposes, I'm hoping to keep it for mono solos and such, where that won't be an issue. But it is a bit disappointing to get it new out of the box and find it like that. So if I do use the tuning note, which is a bit weird because I could have sworn when I was just having a play with it before it was flat. Now it seems to be sharp. So I'm wondering if the fiddling around on this is what's causing it to go out. Interesting. But I guess, hey, look, if anything is a good homage to vintage analog circuitry, it's chips that go out of tune. We'll dial in the second oscillator. Number 3. Well, that was with 3. Ah, silly me. There we go. So the first wasn't even in there. Already it's out in that upper register. So look, that is a frustration, but with something like this where I'm not switching from bank to bank, if anything, I kind of want to stick to the one sound for a whole live set. I guess we can make it work. Just a little bit of, I don't know, just a little hint of disappointment there. Anyway, we'll get through it. So we've met tuning, we've met the oscillators. The waveforms for each oscillator vary from closest to, sounds like a sine, but it's got a little chevron-shaped figure. In fact, if I just stick to oscillator number 1, you got a sort of a sawtooth, a reverse sawtooth, a pulse, a smaller pulse, and then an even smaller pulse. Quite interesting mix. You've got your glide. Interesting that it doesn't really do much. It's only a taste, a smidgen, until you get halfway, and then everyone's on board. Mod mix, so switching between noise mod, LFO mod, or oscillator 3. The mod depth, what I might do is actually just up on a bit here, using the key step. Now I hope this doesn't get too annoying. We can always change the notes, but it saves playing. Mod depth. And you can switch, of course, between just the filter or over to the noise and LFO gate, LFO rate. Cutoff, which speaks for itself, emphasis, which is more like resonance, and contour, which is like the old envelope filter. I do like this though. Oscillator 3, you've got oscillator 3 control. So you can use the turn that on, and it sort of drones out on that frequency. almost fakes polyphony. I'm sure if you got to memorize positionings, you could make quite good music out of it. And that reminds me, if we put everything roughly on the same range, you can detune or tune the oscillators to make more of a chord. The decay is dragging on a bit. I can shorten that. Or lower the sustain or decay. It's quite a cute sounding bit of gear. Obviously you've got the envelopes, which we just interfered with a little bit over there. Low-high modulations, so I'll turn it down a bit in anticipation. You see? Filter modulation. Now there's overload and whatnot. You can run things through the patch bays by, or little patch ports. I don't have much experience with that, I'm loath to say. So is something I definitely will be looking into, so stay tuned for that. Noise you can dial in. You heard a bit of that by accident before, as well as external input. But I think pretty much it speaks for itself. As far as a live bit of kit that I wanted, that A, wasn't going to break the bank, B, was portable, and C, and I hate to say it, if it's stolen, I wouldn't be, reduced to the shell of a man I barely am today. It kind of meets that mandate. I want something I can pretty much set up with a tape delay, and sort of confine to a 2-octave range, and just noodle some solos over some organ or clav or keys, looking for sort of a vintage 70s sound. So I think in that regards I've done quite well here with the Behringer Model D. I guess you might want to hear how it sounds in a mix, and I would love to show that to you. But to get you to do that, I think I might get you to click another video to watch that. So why don't you keep an eye out for Doorless Jam number 8 by Il Modernissimo, featuring the Behringer Model D. Thanks.